Make or break time for House Republicans on immigration as the GOP conference gets set to debate the issue later today. There are sharp divisions within the group on how to proceed with this issue, something Republicans would like to solve before November's crucial midterm elections. Here now is National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd. Brandon, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Tell
us what you're seeing at the border. What should happen on this issue of immigration based on what you see?
Well, if you look at it, I'm a lot more optimistic than Senator McConnell. I do believe that there are certain House representatives, such as McCall, McSally, and Goodlatte, who are going to put something together that the president is going to be willing to take a hard look at. What the president wants is he wants us to address border security once and for all, to finally secure the border so that the American public doesn't have to worry about what's coming across the border, the drugs that are coming across the border, the people from the Middle East, potential terrorists, and all of those different things that are coming across the border. And if we can address that, I definitely think the president will take a hard look at it.
So we just reported that 50,000 people crossed. This is the latest numbers we have. Can you tell us, these were the arrests just for the month of May. Can you tell us what you see in terms of characterizing the situation today is really what I asked.
Yeah, certainly. If you look at what we had in April of 2017, President Trump, with simple rhetoric alone, by himself, he caused a drop to 45-year lows. The problem was within our agency, we have too many Obama holdovers that gave us those policies that didn't secure the border, and those people are still running our agency today. They did not give us any operations, any policy changes that would help build on that momentum that President Trump single-handedly gave us. And until we address that issue, we're going to continue to see operations fail, and that's going to cause illegal immigration to continue to climb.
Brandon, hi, James Freeman here at the Wall Street Journal. I know you follow the politics of this pretty closely. I think it's confusing for a lot of people because it seemed like you have had kind of this obvious deal where the president gets his wall and people who want more legal immigration get an answer on both high-skill and low-skill labor. The so-called dreamers get a chance to remain productive members of our society. Why hasn't this happened? Is there a deal to be had here?
I think there is a deal to be had, but I think that the main reason that it hasn't happened is the Democrats do not want to give the president any sort of a win. Anything that makes him look good makes it more difficult for them in the midterm elections. It makes it more difficult for them going into 2020. And so they're going to try to stop anything that is going to give a positive outlook on something that this president does. And frankly, that from a Border Patrol agent standpoint, from somebody who puts on a uniform and goes out and patrols the border, that's disappointing because we want to see people come together. We want to see people act in a fashion that the American public wants them to do. We can address the dreamers and we can address border security, but we have to do both.
Brandon, it's David McDowell. Why not more outrage and anger at the Republicans, though, who in an omnibus spending bill did not fund new wall construction and did not put any restrictions with the power of the purse in terms of funding on sanctuary cities? Don't those Republicans in the leadership there deserve your ire more than anybody?
They do deserve ire. In fact, I'm very disappointed that the Republicans haven't stepped forward to close the loopholes that allow the people to cross the border illegally, claim asylum, then get led into the United States with a hearing date sometime 2 years down the road, and then they never show up. They had the opportunity to seize upon the momentum that the president gave them. There should be ire on both sides of the aisle, but let's be honest with the omnibus. They couldn't have gotten any sort of a bill passed if they would have tried to fund the walls. The Democrats were blocking that. They weren't going to allow it to happen. So there is ire on both sides, but we can't use the omnibus and point to that and say that's the Republicans' fault. They couldn't have gotten it done. It would have been impossible.
Hey, Brandon, it's Mike Murphy. It seems to me that kind of the simple compromise here is that you get the wall funded and you get the wall being built, but then you also deal with the dreamers who are here and give them a right to stay here. Is that just oversimplifying the issue too much, or is that something that you think could happen?
No, that's not oversimplifying it. In fact, that's exactly what needs to happen. But again, you have to look at history, and we have to use history as a guide. If you look back at the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, they promised border security measures. They didn't give us the border security measures. They gave us mass amnesty, but they didn't give us the border security measures that were necessary for us not to be back in this situation. They promised us back in '86 that we wouldn't, that they would secure the border once and for all, and we wouldn't have to deal with an amnesty again. They didn't do that. And so what you're looking at is you're looking at the lawmakers saying, okay, look, if we want to have any sort of dreamers or any sort of amnesty, if you will, we have to secure the border first. And so they're putting the border security first and then the amnesty second. So if the Democrats will give the Republicans the border security measures, then the Republicans will give them that amnesty.
And the House passed that bill that would provide $50 million in funding to fight MS-13. How important is that money? Where is it needed? I mean, the questions become, is the money reaching the places that it's intended?
Well, I mean, we don't know whether the money is going to reach the places intended as of yet, but I am hopeful that it will. If you look at this money, we've got to put it on the border, but we also have to put it within the United States as well. These MS-13 people, these gang members, they're already here. They are brutally dangerous. They murder, they rape. All you have to do is look at their motto and say, this is a problem, and we must address this problem. It's got to be addressed on the border. It's got to be addressed in our inner cities as we currently have it. And so that money's got to be distributed in different ways. Whether it gets to where it needs to go, that remains to be seen, but I am optimistic under this administration.
I know we're short of time here, so just real quick, is this a issue that gets resolved in 2018, 2019, or never in terms of a deal that has border security and allows more legal immigration?
I would never bet against this president as far as what he's already been able to accomplish in such a short time. This is one of his main priorities, and I think that he does, in fact, get it done.
All right. We will leave it there. Brandon, it's good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Brandon Judd joining us there.